G'day professors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Newman and I've been asked to have a brief word with you today about how to improve the effectiveness, the quality and the general creativity of your advertising and how to transform your brand. Many years ago I wrote a book called Creative Leaps which devoted an entire chapter to one word, One Word Equities. First today, I'll talk about why you should use One Word Equities. Then, how you can find them. And lastly, I'll talk about what they can do for your creativity. Okay, why use One Word Equities? When I was Executive Creative Director at M&C Saatchi in Australia, I helped develop and then promulgate One Word Equities for the Toyota client and then across our whole range of clients from Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, insurance companies and retailers. Within 2 years, Toyota went from being the #1 spender in their category and the #3 seller to becoming the #1 seller and the #3 spender. In other words, the client was able to sell more cars and spend less money on advertising. This is because the standard of creativity in their advertising improved so dramatically. Toyota became one of the top 5 awarded clients at Cannes. I became the most awarded creative director in Australia. And Saatchi Sydney became one of the hottest agencies in the world. Now, the problem is, I can hear you say, most clients usually want to say 6 things at once. There are over 18,000 individual parts inside a motor car. Where do you start? When I first worked on the Toyota account, the client wanted a picture of the engine in every ad. Now I'm pleased to say that One Word Equities solved all these problems. Being single-minded is one of the hardest things to do, yet one of the most powerful tools in advertising. And there's nothing more singular than one word. Since those days, the most precious commodity in the world, people's attention span, has become even harder to capture. To succeed in the attention economy, you need to be brutally simple in everything that you do. One Word Equities gives the marketer tight control, and better still, it gives total clarity to the consumer. A One Word Equity gets to the core of the business issue behind the need to advertise. Own the right word, and your brand can dominate the category with an unassailable advantage over the competitors. When I left Saatchi Australia, I became Executive Creative Director at their rival M&C Saatchi in Asia, in the days when social media and social advertising platforms were exploding everywhere. Around that time, Maurice Saatchi got on board, and he predicted that the future of advertising, whatever the technology, will be to associate each brand with one word, the One Word Equity. It's the modern equivalent of having the best site on the high street, except in the mind. How do you find the right word for your brand? Start by avoiding psychobabble. An advertising brief that talks about the young at heart individualists who are extroverted, sports-minded, with a second-hand European car and a propensity to have a pet, that sort of language is not going to get you there. That's not a brief. That's a cage in search of a bird. A great creative brief is not about information, rather it's about inspiration. Too many briefs are created by committees to be worked within, when really they should be a launching pad. There's a quote from Dave Berry that says, "In one word, the reason why the human race has not achieved and never will achieve its full potential is meetings." One-word briefs are not handcuffs. They're a leg up to a creative leap. Too many ads are about nuts and bolts when really they should be about heart and spirit. A great, big, brand-transforming idea may not impart any product facts at all. Your one word should be memorable, it should be differentiating, a focal point at both the brand and the product level. It should be expansive, it should evoke an emotional response, and most importantly of all, it should lead to great creative work. A good one-word equity can come from anywhere. For example, from a product attribute, say unbreakable, or a brand character, irreverent. It might be rational, for example, spacious, or emotional, say reliability. Try developing a brand onion that lists your brand's attributes, its benefits, its values, and personality. Then work out what lies at the heart of the brand for the consumer. Try to drill down to the absolute essence. Ask yourself, what of intrinsic value does the brand deliver to the consumer? As Schopenhauer advised creative people, be a telescope at the opera house. If you can distill your focus down to one single word, it gives your thinking, and in fact the entire advertising process, the gift of discipline. Precise strategies liberate creativity. Now, an important thing to note is that the actual one word doesn't have to literally appear in the ad at all. It simply underpins it. It's where the imaginative thinking begins. When we started using one-word equities, I instituted another discipline to help us judge the ideas that are produced. One sentence. The idea had to be explainable in one sentence. Here's a nice old ad for a Corolla in Brazil that I got from YouTube. Corolla became the world's #1 selling car. It owned the word reliability. This commercial's idea in a sentence is, if you see a Corolla broken down, then something must really be wrong.
It was a trap. You ever seen a Corolla broken down?
Discipline and purity of focus gives you maximum room for creativity and originality, and minimum room for the most common mistakes in communication, which are fuzzy thinking and compromise. A brief with the single word performance is so much easier to write to than a brief that asks for an ad about the best performing, locally manufactured 4-door, 6-cylinder car in its class. With a precise target, you know when you've hit the bullseye. The one-word equity we had for the Toyota Hilux truck was unbreakable. It worked because the tradesmen and the farmers who drove Hilux wanted a vehicle they could bash around the farm and the building site without worrying. This is what the creative team came up using the word unbreakable.
Bugger. Ooh, bugger me. Bugger. Easy now, son. Ooh, bugger. You burnt.
Bugger.
Bugger. Bugger.
Nah, 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 nah! My Hilux 4x2 is unbreakable. My 4x2 isn't.
There's plenty of horsepower.
The biggest Hilux 2.4 really packs a punch. Oh! Hilux is Australia's best-selling ute, bar none. Looking for comfort? Hilux 4x2, unbreakable. Toyota!
One word is a business tool, a strategic tool and a creative tool rolled into one. It's right if it takes the high ground positioning for the brand and captures exactly what people are seeking in the product category itself. Now, we weren't the first agency to use one word, just the first to formalise and put a process around it. Years before, Heineken's agency used one word to create the world's first global beer brand. Heineken's word was refreshment. The campaign was Heineken refreshes the parts that other beers cannot reach. Every ad was completely fresh and original. Eagerly awaited by the market and the award judges every year. In one sentence, the next ad shows a posh English girl learning some street credibility after drinking Heineken. The second ad shows a happy guy who learns how to sing the blues after drinking Heineken.
The water in Mallorca doesn't taste like what it ought to.
No. The water in Majorca don't taste like what it ought to.
The water in Mallorca doesn't taste quite how it should.
Majorca!
Mallorca?
Majorca!
Mallorca?
Hi, Dale, any danger of some refreshment in here?
Here you are. Get your laughing gear in there.
Oh, golly. The water in Majorca
What's that?
don't taste like what it ought to. Gosh. The water in Majorca don't taste like what it ought
She's cracked it. She's only cracked it.
You're absolutely wrong.
Heineken refreshes the parts what other beers cannot reach.
Woke up this morning, the sun smiled down on me. Sun smiled on me? That ain't the blues.
Oh, honey, that's cute.
Whoa, your boat paddling down the stream. Dang, that ain't the blues either.
What is this lipstick doing on your collar?
Honey, that ain't no
That
lipstick.
ain't nothing. I said, what is it?
Shave it.
You're alive. Look at you lying in your mouth.
You're repossessing your car.
Sorry, but I ain't never coming back.
Saddles is my first name. Last name is Misery. I lost my woman and the rain is coming down. Oh, yeah.
Another company that built a famous worldwide brand by owning just one word was Volvo with safety. There have been many great safety ads for Volvos all around the world. This is one of the originals using crash test dummies. It has the great end tagline, Volvo, tested by dummies, driven by the intelligent.
The Volvo 340, tested by dummies, driven by the intelligent.
Once you have the right word, it can be adopted throughout the entire communications process and your company culture. Better still, it means that your advertising will look at things from the consumer's side rather than the manufacturer's. With our Toyota Oh What a Feeling campaign, the brand's advertising was selling powerful feelings, while all the competitors were selling mere sheet metal. Developing the right one-word equity also solves the problem of the long sales chain that we have today. It tells the client what to focus on. It tells everyone from the chairman and the chairman's wife, and don't underestimate the influence of the client's wife, exactly what the product stands for. It tells the sales force what benefits to sell. It tells the PR and the social media influencers what stories to push. Best of all, it gives the creative people something precise to expand on. It minimizes the information and it maximizes creative freedom. In brief, it gives the creatives blue sky to work with. One Word gives creative people the room to be creative, a great big playground. On that note, I'll say goodbye, good luck, and thanks to all of you listening today.